Welcome to Man versus Machine. Bradley Stalder alongside Jesse Baldwin here on tonight's Wednesday edition of Rankings Debate. Jesse, welcome to Man versus Machine.
Thank you for having me, Bradley.
Yeah, so Jesse and I are going to dive into some of the rankings, some of the debating. I pulled up my projections. I've gone to the spreadsheets. I've locked myself in the cage that is this studio with my laptop, and I've spent so much time with formulas in the lab. I need to touch some grass, Jesse. I think I need to touch some grass. I need to go outside, mow the lawn, like dig some dirt, do all of the things that makes men, and, maybe take my wife out on a date, like you definitely need to give her some time after all the time that she's given to me for working on these spreadsheets. And the reality is there's still things to iron out. The schedule is literally dropping, as we speak. It's just updated because it's Wednesday, May 14th, and we're getting new information every day. And this kind of just does tweak a little bit, how we're approaching players from a fantasy lens. We look at week 17 correlation, especially if you're in the best ball tournaments. Those are important things, or even if we're talking, Jesse, I think you'll agree that these playoff weeks, like weeks 15, 16, and 17, are weighted more heavily. Like we want to play to win, and those are weeks and matchups that we want to target. So especially that we're finding out today, weeks 15, 16, 17, this may shift a little bit based on the weight of those games, but these are players that in a vacuum, I'm going to be higher or lower, and Jesse is going to agree or disagree. He's going to be the man tonight, diving into some of these players. So Jesse, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready when you are.
Fantastic. We're going to kick it off with a rookie. So people, they're always looking for the newest, best thing. And there was a rookie drafted in day 3 of this season's recent draft. A couple weeks ago, I was down there in Tampa Bay with the guys. We saw Devin Neil go off in the 6th round to the New Orleans Saints. And he is just a player that the projections seem to be much higher on than the ADP. The reality is, from the projections perspective, Alvin Kamara, yes, he might handle a good percentage or the majority of the rushing workload, but Jesse, who else is it going to be? Like, is it going to be Kendre Miller? Is it going to be, it's not Jordan Mims. Jordan Mims was just cut. If anything, that should give us organizational confidence in this 6th round pick, Devin Neil. So I'm significantly higher on Devin Neil. I have him projected for, wow, I've got it right here. He is my 93rd player in the best ball value rating projections. And he's going at 183. So Jesse, tell me why I'm right. Tell me what I'm wrong. Go for it.
I feel like you're right, because now that Derek Carr had retired, they're going to run the ball. We know that. And Alvin Kamara can't carry every single carry. And Devin Neil has shown to be a bell cow back at Kansas. So I definitely agree that he should be drafted much higher than his ADP at the moment.
Yeah, Devin Neil, a player, pedestrian 40-yard dash, pedestrian speed score, BMI is fine, 213 pounds, 5'11". But if you go into playerprofiler.com, you can see that Devin Neil's best comparable player is Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt. Oh, Jesse. Rookie year, Kareem Hunt. A player who was drafted at the end of the 3rd round. Yes, a significant difference in draft capital. But when we look at what Kareem Hunt didn't have the speed, he didn't have the agility, he didn't have the strength. And Devin Neil, similarly, not a great speed score, not a great 40-yard dash, but where they were different, where they were different than the rest of the field, where they were similar together, why this comp works is because Devin Neil 83rd percentile burst score, a player that that's something that New Orleans has sorely needed. And Kendre Miller, maybe just you can give us a take on Kendre Miller. He's not panned out during the first 2 seasons. He's been dealing with injuries. He was in the doghouse for a while. It seemed like the coaches hated Kendre Miller, but now we have a new coach in Kellen Moore. Do you think there's hope for Kendre Miller?
Really, who knows? I mean, Kendre Miller just constantly in the doghouse. I don't. It's really up in the air. Like, I mean, the touches need to go around. He might get a chance, but if he fumbles it once, I don't think he's going to see the field again.
Yeah, this is going into year 3. Remember, Miller was a day 2 selection just a couple years ago, and then, suffering the injuries, and now we're staring down the barrel of an even more aged Alvin Kamara. And there's been some rumblings, with the Derek Carr retirement, should Alvin Kamara be traded? Should there be just a changing of the guard, a complete overhaul in this New Orleans team that is sorely in need of just fresh bodies? And maybe a contender would be able to give the Saints both cap relief from Alvin Kamara, but also draft capital and maybe some other assets long term. Do you think that Alvin Kamara would be a valuable piece on someone else's team, and would New Orleans be motivated to move off of him?
I mean, of course, I think Alvin Kamara would be great on another team, but this is Mickey Loomis we're talking about. He keeps kicking the can down the road, and somehow they end up like $50 million over the cap every year, and somehow get under it every year. So I don't know. They're just going to keep doing that again. They eventually need to start over and just start fresh, but I don't see Loomis doing that.
Yeah, it's hard to see. The Saints have an MO, and that is kick the can. It is defer the money. It is, and that's what Taysom Hill, ultimately is the encapsulation of this New Orleans Saints team. He's expected to miss a significant amount of the season, maybe the entire season. And Hill is in his mid-30s, a player that was getting a decent amount of rush share when he was available. However, with Alvin Kamara barely eclipsing 50% of the rushes, who else is it going to fall to? It's either Kendre Miller or it's going to be Devin Neil. This new coaching staff picked out Neal, and he's got some interesting, workout metrics. So projecting him for 37% of the rush share with Tyler Shuck, not being super mobile. Maybe that's a play that we want to take late round stabs at, a player like Devin Neil, whose ADP is very, very late.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think Devin Neil might end up being the lead back by the end of the season. So,
woo! You heard it here, guys. Devin Neil going to be the lead back in New Orleans. We love to hear it, Jesse. We're going to go to another player that the projections love. And this is I'm a survivor. This is a player who escaped the shadow of Travis Hunter, because the Browns were projected, Jesse. The Browns were going to take Travis Hunter with the 2nd overall pick as a wide receiver and maybe sprinkle in some defense. But then they go and trade that pick to the Jacksonville Jaguars, leaving Jerry Judy as a big winner coming out of the draft. And even pre-draft, there was still a lot of projected volume for the Cleveland Browns to give to anybody. It was David Njoku, it was Jerry Judy, and then who else? Really, there's such a massive gap. And when the Browns did not address that position or any pass catcher of significance, yes, they got Harold Fannin, but he would have to play tight end behind Njoku. You're looking at who's going to get the target share. Well, the number one guy is going to be Jerry Judy. So Jerry Judy, projections love him. Looking at where Judy is in terms of projections and ADP, Judy comes in. Where is he? As number 14 in my projections, but number 67 overall in ADP, a player that we should not be ignoring, even with questionable quarterback play. Does the man agree? Is Jerry Judy a love, or is this a mistake from the spreadsheet?
Oh, man, when he was in Denver, like he just could not get going at all. And so to see him blow up at the Browns with basically whoever was at quarterback, because they just kept, it was Deshaun, and then it kept getting injured, then Dorian Thompson Robinson, and then Jameis. Like, I don't know, but like Judy just came out of nowhere with Jameis on the field. And so, like, getting him with Shador, is Shador going to play this year? I think he's going to have a chance. So Judy going to be a top weapon. So I'd be all in on him, like, because this offense, it's going to be playing from behind probably for the most part. I mean, they fell apart last year, but the year before they were great. So I guess we'll see what happens. But I'm definitely agreeing with Judy should be much higher than what you said the ranking was.
Yeah, right now he's 67.6 ADP overall. This is overall. So you're getting really cheap player, yes, but it's the reason why he's so low, I think, and I think you'll agree with me, is just the nebulous Browns offense. We don't know who the quarterback's going to be, and that's what's suppressing his ADP. But a player who is going to get 25% of the targets, you said they're playing from behind, he's going to get 1,200 receiving yards. He's going to get 6 touchdowns. That's what I want. That's what I want in a quarterback or a wide receiver. And the only other receiver that they brought in this offseason was Deontay Johnson, who's trying to reclaim his career. This is his 5th team in the matter of like a year. Yes, Deontay Johnson at one point was a target hog, like for sure. With Pittsburgh, he was getting 140 targets a year. But I'm only projecting Deontay Johnson for 11% of the target share. And maybe that's completely off. Maybe that's way off. But like, are we believers in Cedric Tillman?
I want to be a believer, but he hasn't really shown it yet. So I guess we'll see, especially whoever's quarterback. Like, love to see Joe Flacco to start out the season for sure.
Oh, and if Joe Flacco starts the season, then David Njoku, all like to the moon. David Njoku to the moon. I have Njoku as my tight end 5 in the projections, 16.7% target share, almost 100 targets, 6 receiving touchdowns, about 700 receiving yards. That's good for about tight end 5. And so especially with Flacco getting some start, and I do project Flacco to get to start the season as of right now. Of course, open competition. It could be Kenny Pickett. It could be Shedeur Sanders. It could be, good guy Gabe, Dylan Gabriel. But to start the season, Joe Flacco probably gets the nod.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Great. A player who did not necessarily survive the draft, but the projections didn't penalize him too much, was wide receiver for the LA Chargers, Quentin Johnston. And I know what y'all are thinking. Quentin Johnston, he busted year 1. He was arguably the worst wide receiver in the entire NFL in his rookie year. And then in year 2, he kind of has a decent season. He's wide receiver 36. He gets some touchdowns, wins big a little bit down the field. We see the offense take a few steps forward, even if it is slower play, even if it is more run heavy. Quentin Johnston, though, last year, about 18% target share. I don't think that goes away. I think that's significant. And if the Chargers continue to level up, with the added weapons that they bring, like Trey Harris, obviously the 2nd round selection, but also, they're running back Omarion Hampton. That means the offense is going to move a little bit better. So I have a lot of confidence that a rising tide lifts all boats, and Quentin Johnston is not a boat that's going to sink in this offense.
Oh, I'm not sure. I really believe in Trey Harris coming in, and they selected him. And Quentin Johnston was part of the. Was he drafted originally by Harbaugh, or was it the previous regime?
Previous regime.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So I'm thinking Trey Harris is definitely going to be stepping in, and he's going to connect with Herbert and McConkey. It's like McConkey going to be catching most of the passes for sure, but I think Trey Harris is the reason they picked him. So.
Yeah, for sure. Trey Harris, a big winner on the outside, a yards after the catch guy, great burst, good speed. Like these are the types of metrics we wanted to see from a player like Harris. An 81st percentile burst score, 61st percentile catch radius. Like this is a player who can win big down the field. Last year, despite only playing 9 games, had over 1,000 receiving yards, 17.2 yards per reception, 18.2 the year before. Yes, Quentin Johnston came down with some. I do have, Trey Harris and Quentin Johnston pretty close. I think they can coexist.
Okay.
Like a 14% share for Harris in year 1, I think is fine. 81 targets, 52 receptions, 4 to 5 touchdowns. But then Quentin Johnston, I think the incumbent, he still played well with Harbaugh last year. Like that's why, if it was if they drafted Trey Harris, well, this was the logic I used last year. They drafted Ladd McConkey. I was fading the bejeebies out of Quentin Johnston. That kind of backfired a little bit because I had 0 Quentin, and that was not the right move. But now we have Quentin Johnston does have a role in the Chargers offense. And then you have Trey Harris who can win big down the field as well and doesn't require the 50-50 balls, because that was the issue with Johnston, was he was body catching down the field, and you're going to lose more than 50% if you're trying to body catch. So Harris is a player that I'm moderate on. I feel like I'm pretty even with the field. Let me actually double check that. I'm interested now to Harris. Trey Harris. Yeah, I'm very close. If anything, I have him projected at 88th overall, and his ADP is 100.4. So I'm about a round ahead on Harris. I am about a full round ahead on Ladd McConkey. I guess I'm just more bullish on this Chargers offense to take the next step.
Right.
We saw last year, the first 4 or 5 games, Justin Herbert not throw the ball very much. And then Harbaugh started to trust him more. And that's why we saw increased volume. So I think that's the pathway that we're going to see for the Chargers to ascend a little bit. The other component is that what division are they in, Jesse?
AFC West. Yeah.
They're going to be in Shootout Central. And they're going to want to run the ball. But that's why they got a pass-catching running back like Amari and Hampton to be able to stay on the field and compete with the Chiefs, compete with the Raiders, compete with the Broncos. Like these are offenses that want to continue to shoot out. These are games that are we project game totals closer to 47 to 50 every week, not the 38 to 41 range that are games you want to avoid. We want interdivision shootouts, and that's what we're going to get with the Chargers, and they have the weaponry, and Quentin Johnston is part of that.
Oh yeah, I love Justin Herbert, just like Harbaugh does. Just hyping him up on the sidelines every single game. It's so fun to watch. But I know Harbaugh loved to run the ball. He did it everywhere he'd been. But damn, you got Justin Herbert, man. Just let him sling the ball.
Awesome. Well, before we go on with a couple more players that the projections are either high or low on, a word from Matt Kelly about the Dynasty Dominator.
Hey, what if I told you there was a Dynasty app where you could get player lifetime values, evaluate trades, including draft picks out to 2028, compare the advanced metrics of 2 players, look up the sentiment, buy, sell, hold on players? Well, there is a mobile app that has all of that and more called the Dynasty Dominator, and it's $5 in the App Store on Google Play. This is my gift to you, the most affordable Dynasty League domination app available today. And if you already have it, the 2025 class is ready to download. Let's go.
That's right. Let's go. Dynasty Dominator. I love screen clipping and just being like, this is the next whatever. Like a couple weeks ago, I was like, Cam Scatabo is a better version of Ramondre Stevenson. What's your take on that, Jesse?
Oh, I 100% agree. It's like, hands down. Scatterbo all the way. Wearing 44, looking like John Riggins.
Shout out to Friday Night Lights. We love it. We love it.
Yeah.
All right. Another player that the projections just love. It just love DeAndre Swift. And Swift is a survivor. We thought that the Bears were going to be drafting a running back. We thought that the Bears were going to get Nick Chubb. This has not happened. DeAndre Swift was one of only 7 running backs last season to have at least 60% rush share. He got the vast majority of the rushes. He handled it. He has a pedigree of pass catching, of handling heavy workloads, of getting touchdowns, of and working with Ben Johnson. Mm-hmm. Now he's here in Chicago with Ben Johnson, and we saw every other piece of the offense elevate. The wide receivers, we got Luther Burden, we got tight end Colston Loveland. They improved the offensive line. The only thing they didn't do was address the running back position. DeAndre Swift is primed for a massive, massive season because this offense is primed for a massive, massive season. And Swift right now, I have as my 36th overall projected player, and his ADP is 82.7. He's still, the market has not caught up to the fact that Swift is going to be on a good offense and get the majority of the work. The math, like the spreadsheets, it's not that difficult of math to go. Yeah. But does the man agree? Does the man disagree? Jesse, come at me.
Oh, I 100% agree. I think you might even be a little too low on him. Like, I'm all in on Swift. Like, I've had him in Dynasty, and I have not let him go. Even when he got let go by the Lions, I was like, oh, he's still my guy. I'm still keeping him. I have full faith in this offense. Just like my Carolina Panthers, they upgraded the offensive line. The Bears went and did the same thing. Now they're going to get Caleb Williams back on track, get this offense rolling, and Swift is just going to be carrying the ball every time.
Love it. I love it. Yeah, Swift he's going to get so much work. Let me pull up the projections for Swift so that the people at home know what I'm talking about. We're looking at DeAndre Swift handling about 60% of the rush share. Caleb Williams, I have tapped into 19%. I'm very high on Caleb this year. I'm high on the Bears offense overall. Roschon Johnson, I project as the running back 2 at 13%. He's a must-have handcuff, though. Like with Swift's injury history, we know that the soft tissue things do tend to pop up, and especially if he's leaned on very heavily, like he was last year, that Roschon Johnson is arguably one of the most valuable handcuffs in all of the NFL. Jesse, what's your take on Roschon?
I think Roschon is very underrated. I mean, he sat behind all those running backs at Texas, and he hadn't really had a shot yet, but I think it's Swift were to go down. Roschon Johnson, you got to be all in on him.
Yeah, Roschon, we need to be sniping up Roschon. Where do I have him in the projections here? He is outside my top 120, but we should be clicking a Roschon Johnson as we're periodically going through. I know the Bears drafted Kyle Mananje. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Look, yeah. It's a late day 3 pick when you've already established Roschon and DeAndre Swift as the 1-2. And Roschon, one of the things that people forget is that the Bears coaches love him. He is a coach's running back. He will do whatever they ask him to do. He is just so likable in the locker room. He's not going to go anywhere in terms of he's not going to get demoted. He's not going to lose his job. That is his role. and it would be very exciting to see him take the next step. But with DeAndre Swift there, it's looking very, very good. Jeremiah jumps in and said, it spelled Travis Etienne midseason. I mean, look, the inefficiencies from Swift and Etienne are certainly, present. I don't disagree with that, but I don't think that Roschon is quite Tank Bigsby.
Yeah.
I don't know if he brings, that rumble skill set, but maybe Swift doesn't live up to the dog mentality that Ben Johnson has for vision for this room, this offense, because that's what is one of Swift's weaknesses ultimately is his dog rating. Like, is he a dog? And he got chewed out a lot when he was in Detroit. Like, they moved on from him because he wasn't the dog. And so it's possible that the coaches look and say, you know what, Roschon Johnson might be the guy. But that's why we need to be clicking Roschon. We need to be clicking DeAndre Swift. We know that this running back in Chicago is going to be very valuable. And that's why the projections have DeAndre Swift so much higher. Yes. All right. Very good. The last player that the projections have much higher is a player, a rookie. We love rookies here, right? This is, I don't understand why this player is so much lower. I just don't. He's a running back who landed on, I would say, a top 3, top 4 opportunity situation coming out of the draft, and that's running back Quinshon Judkins. Quinshon Judkins is going to get the majority of the rush. He is going to get the lion's share. The Cleveland Browns offense is intended to go through the running back. That's how Kevin Stefanski wants to run his offense. So giving Judkins 56% of the rush share on a run-heavy team, yes, we were very high on Jerry Judy, but they're going to want to establish it at least at the beginning of the game to not expose the other parts of the offense that are questionable, like the quarterback, especially if you get to later in the season. You don't know what you got in Shador at the NFL level. You don't know what you have in Dylan Gabriel at the NFL level. You don't know. Well, you kind of know what you have in Kenny Pickett. It's not very good there, Jesse.
Right. Yeah.
let's Super Bowl champion Kenny Pickett.
Right.
But, Quinshon Judkins, I project for 237 rush attempts, a little over 1,000 rush yards, 7 rushing touchdowns, and a sprinkling of about 40 targets. Right now Judkins is his ADP is 70.8, but he is my number 46 player overall. 2 rounds ahead of ADP. Is that the right move, Jesse, to be high on Judkins?
Oh, 100%. I definitely want Judkins. I think the Cleveland offense is just going to be well-rounded. Stefanski just basically running the same offense as Kyle Shanahan. They're all going to have a great running game. And Judkins, when he tested out, man, his numbers were way better than I expected them to be. Like a 4.4 40. And he got a 92nd percentile speed score, a 94th percentile burst score. This dude is a freak athlete at 6 foot, 221 pounds. It's like a bowling ball just coming right at you. Just like Nick Chubb all over again.
Yes.
I don't know if he'll be as efficient as Chubb would, but I expect him to do pretty damn well.
Yeah, the Stefanski, the thing that people forget, and I need to remind our listeners and viewers that Kevin Stefanski has won Coach of the Year before, but not just once. He's won Coach of the Year 2 different times in the last 5 seasons. So he is a coach that has just been given just terrible talent, has had some bad luck, and the ownership has ruined the organization for him. Stefanski, okay, who are the coaches in the NFL that are certifiably better than Kevin Stefanski? Andy Reid?
Yeah, I don't
is
know.
that it? Mike Tomlin, maybe? Like, even so, like, you have to question some of the things that Tomlin has done, but like, you have to handicap Kevin Stefanski for all of the things that have gone wrong in Cleveland, and he's still won Coach of the Year 2 times.
Yeah, I mean, the Browns ownership actually came out and apologized for getting Deshaun Watson. So, like, they need to let Stefanski run the team the way he needs to, and no, just step in and do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah, talk about like regret. Like Baker Mayfield is living his best life down in Florida. He's probably like, no income tax. I get to live on the beach. You know, like I get my own team that like is behind me 100%.
Crazy.
It's great. Good for Baker. I'm happy for Baker. I've been rooting for him since he joined the Browns and even after he got shysted by in the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes. So yeah, I'm a big believer that Judkins is going to be a central piece of this Cleveland offense. They're going to ride him, like you said, a la Nick Chubb. But we've got to, shift gears here a little bit, Jesse. We can't all be positive about certain players. That's the thing about this fantasy life that we live is sometimes we can just we cannot be as optimistic. The projections do hate some of the industry's favorite players, and one of them is a wide receiver that is entering his second season. He broke out last year on a good offense, but he is way, way, way low in the projections, and that is wide receiver Xavier Worthy. Jesse, Xavier Worthy had some really nice games at the end of the year, but Travis Kelce is taking steps back. He was definitely not himself. Isaiah Pacheco was hurt and definitely not himself. Rashee Rice was out since week 5?
Yeah, early.
He wasn't there at all. Hollywood Brown was out for almost the entirety of the season. Xavier Worthy was it. So now we've got a healthy Hollywood. We're expecting Rashee Rice to play this season. All indications are that he is healthy, ready to go for week 1. There's not been indications about any potential suspension at this point. I've been monitoring Drew Davenport's FF update, like the updates, and he thinks that Xavier Worthy is in a good spot. Like we should be or Rashee Rice is in a good spot. So when it comes to who's going to eat first, I think it's still going to be Kelce, and I think it's going to be Rashee Rice. That leaves Xavier Worthy competing with Hollywood Brown, who's not a nothing burger. And like, we love Xavier Worthy's speed, but was he a difference maker? Jesse, the projections are very low on Xavier Worthy. Does the man agree?
I 100% agree. Like, these really light receivers, only 165 pounds. Like, Tyreek Hill, like the only guy who'd really been super successful at like super small sides like that. And I just can't see Worthy keeping that up. Like you said, he was the only option that they had toward the end of the season. He's working with Patrick Mahomes. So, like, you expect him to play better than he actually did. But, like, with Rice coming back, man, he was a target machine when he was there. Like, yeah, I don't see Worthy really living up to his projections at all.
Yeah, we're looking at so Xavier Worthy had, some games like week 7, he went 3 for 19 on 8 targets. 4 for 37 on 8 targets. 4 for 46 on 6 targets. Like, we're just going through. It wasn't until you got to week 15 where he went 6 for 46 on 11 targets. He was finally like wide receiver 16 that week, or 7 for 65 on 11 targets. He got a touchdown that week, so he was wide receiver 11. Like, the ceiling for Xavier Worthy on a week-to-week basis is certainly high. Like, in best ball, like, I don't mind taking some shots on Xavier Worthy, but right now his ADP is 38.6.
Oof.
I can't get
Too
behind
high.
Xavier Worthy being the in the top 40 of best players for fantasy for 2025. Like, give me the over of 40, for Xavier Worthy by far. The projections have him very, very low, and the pathway for failure is very significant given the other options in the offense.
Yeah, especially Hollywood being there. They're almost the same type of player. So I expect Hollywood to step up ahead of him and get more playing time with Mahomes.
Yeah, more playing time. Hollywood was, he's a wily vet, and Xavier Worthy, he was getting, by the end of the season, week 14 started to pick up. Like, he got 80% of the snaps. But before week 14, where he played 85% of the snaps, he had just 2 games where he played more than 70% of the snaps. Like, he was a part-time player for for most of the season. And yes, this is like the pathway that we saw Rashee Rice take. But Rashee Rice was not only gaining the targets, but gaining yards and winning big and getting yards per route run. And Xavier Worthy was not. Like, how many games did Xavier Worthy have over 100 receiving yards? Oh, it was just in the Super Bowl where they were blowing out the Philadelphia Eagles were blowing them out, and it was just whatever, a big play. He went 8 for 157 on 8 targets, 2 touchdowns. But other than that, there was no game where Xavier Worthy had over 100 receiving yards. He's being drafted at 38.6 overall. Can't get behind it.
Yep. Don't believe him at all. That Hollywood Brown could be ahead of him the whole way. Rashee Rice going to be the number 1 option. And of course, still got Kelsey. So,
yikes. Well, another player that I'm looking at the projections and seeing that the spreadsheets are just spitting out very, very, very low. And it's a player that people have been last year. He was a 1-2 turn player, even the year before, because both seasons Aaron Rodgers was his projected quarterback. And now it's not Aaron Rodgers. It is Justin Fields, his college teammate. The projections hate Garrett Wilson. Wilson, yes, at a 28% target share, 139 targets, 79 receptions, but is he going to get the yards? I have him projected for under 900 yards and under 6 touchdowns. That's not going to get it done when his ADP is player 25 overall. Yikes. I don't have confidence that the Jets are going to be a good offense. And yes, like 28% target share is one of the highest in the league, but is that going to turn into big gains, big wins? I don't know. The pathway for Garrett Wilson to win and like beat that projection is by being, instead of a 28% target share guy, like a 40% target share guy, where and it's possible because there's no one else behind Wilson.
right.
So what do you think? What do you think, Jesse? Is Garrett Wilson primed for a massive, massive breakout, or are we going to be left holding the bag yet again with Garrett Wilson?
I'm predicting a big season for Wilson. Like, I think you can do better than your projection because, like you said, there's really nobody else in the offense, and you got the locker room familiarity with Justin Fields, being former teammates at Ohio State. Like, I know Wilson hasn't done very well with Aaron Rodgers, but that's just Aaron Rodgers we're talking about. Like, one route wrong, and he pissed off at you the whole season. It doesn't make any sense, but I mean, the guy talented. He made some great plays last season when he got the opportunity. I just think he just needs to have that connection, and I think he will have it with Justin Fields.
Yeah, you can never underrate the shower narrative. There is a hierarchy of narratives. There's like, playing catch in the parking lot, Josh Downs, Anthony Richardson, narrative. Then there's the, we're going on a family vacation together narrative. Then there's, the shower narrative. So there's a lot of narratives that there is a hierarchy, and the shower narrative is very strong between Garrett Wilson and his former Ohio State teammate, Justin Fields. We expect that chemistry will be good because Wilson crushed at Ohio State with Justin Fields, but it was also a different offense that Fields was operating with. And we know that in these types of not just run first, but a player like Fields who's mobile, who has designed rushes, will pull the ball out of the offense and carry it. And that reduces the passing volume. So while Wilson might get 28% of the target share or 30%, it's more like 25 to 23% if it was on some other team. So I do have concerns of like the overall volume, and are the Jets even going to be any good? Like, are the offense going to stall out? Is it just going to continue? The Jets going to continue to jet?
I don't know, man. When Fields was playing with the Steelers last year, like, I can't believe they benched him for Russell Wilson. Like, they were winning with him. I know it may not look pretty here and there, but like, look back at his last season in Chicago. He made DJ Moore one of the top, at least 15 receivers, and I believe he can do that again with Wilson.
Oh, yeah, DJ Moore. That's another player that I'm very high on, but we're not going to mention him directly here. DJ Moore with Caleb Williams. I did mention that I'm very high on the Bears overall. That was back in 2023 for DJ Moore, and Moore finished as the wide receiver 9 that season, 1,300 receiving yards, 8 touchdowns. Ooh. Yeah. Wow. Delicious. Well, the projections, they hate Garrett Wilson. Sorry. More so, maybe they just hate the New York Jets.
I can see why. They haven't been good for a long time.
And do they have reason for optimism? Allen Lazard's your wide receiver too.
Yeah.
Yikes. Another player that he's just skyrocketed up the ADP, Jesse. And I talked about how I love the Bears. I love the Bears offense. I love what they've done this offseason. But the projections hate Rome Odunze. They hate Rome Odunze. They hate him. There's just too many mouths to feed. It is clearly a situation where we did not get enough from Rome last year. I'm not sure if Caleb Williams has the chemistry with Rome Odunze. Right now, his ADP is 64th overall. So like at that 5-6 turn, but he's my projected 117th player overall. And when you're splitting target share with DJ Moore, Colson Loveland, Luther Burden, DeAndre Swift, Cole Kmet, and now you got to shove a 18% target share or 17% target share of Rome Odunze in there too. The pathway for Odunze to get 23 to 25% to get that ADP, like to meet the ADP projection, I don't see it. I don't see a pathway. Jesse, tell me I'm wrong.
And I want to love Odunze, but I agree with you. I don't see him doing very well in this offense. Like, I just see DJ Moore getting the larger percent of the target, and Loveland coming in. He's going to be a great weapon for Caleb Williams. So I just can't see Odunze really stepping up. Like, as talented as he was, like, you would think he would have stepped up last season, but here we are. So
yeah, we don't have a lot of confidence that Rome is going to take that next step. And like the market, even before the NFL draft, was very high on Rome Odunze and projected him for a major breakout. But to pay off his ADP, Odunze will have to have similar production. So like to give you some production comps for last year, he would need to be Jamison Williams, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Devonta Smith, and Jerry Judy, like that type of production to pay off his ADP. But last year, these are wide receivers that exist in the NFL who had a better best ball value rating than Rome Odunze in 2024. Tyrell Shavers, Demarcus Robinson, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Keyshawn Booty, Nick Westbrook-Akine, Jalen Coker, all had better best ball value ratings than Rome Odunze last year. So, if you're like,
that's not a pretty group at all.
Who is Tyrell Shavers? That's my point. Odunze's best ball value rating last year was 2.2. So among the 16 players who had a best ball value rating between a 2 and a 3 in 2023, only 4 of them had a best ball value rating greater than 5 in 2024. So you only a 25% chance just in a nebulous vacuum. The average best ball value rating the next year for those players who were between a 2 and a 3 was a 2.9.
Oof.
So they really didn't elevate to the next step. To give for those who are in the audience and listeners, Justin Jefferson's getting a 13, that type of production. And Rome Odunze was at a 2.2. There were 299 players who registered a best ball value rating last year. Only 16 jumped 5.3 best ball value rating, which is what Rome Odunze would need to jump.
Damn.
So a 5.3% chance, of all players. Now, 7 of those 16 were wide receivers, but it's not saying that Rome Odunze can't make that jump. It's not saying it's a 0. It's just saying it's a 5% chance. It's historically a bad bet for Rome Odunze to pay off. So the projections hate him. There's not really a pathway for him to pay off. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, the only silver lining that I see as a positive is he had 1,398 air yards. So he's getting thrown at, but you just weren't connecting. So I guess we'll just see Caleb Williams can get on the same page with them at all.
Yeah, that's if he kept throwing at him, it might be time to throw to someone else.
Right. Yeah, especially he ain't coming down with it. So
yikes. So hate, triple hate. It's the Grinch. I feel like the Grinch. Another player that really underperformed last year, and I'm not sure if there was injury issue or if it was just the offense or the offensive line, whatever the case may be. We saw Jaylen Waddle just massively underperform last year, and my projections, they are not favorable toward Jaylen Waddle yet again this year. I think it has to do with 2 things. The projected bounce back of Tyreek Hill. I think Hill does bounce back a little bit. We heard this offseason Hill going to have his surgery. He was dealing with the fractured wrist all of last season. He just obviously was not himself. And then so it was first Tyreek Hill. I think that there's some bounce back. And the second is Jonnu Smith, I think, is for real. I think he fits this offense very well. And now you have Devon Achane, who's catching the balls out of the backfield. So it's possible that Waddle is number 4 in terms of pass catchers. And we've seen Waddle perform very well in the past. But how can we have confidence that Waddle will have a bounce back season in 2025?
But I just think this entire offense was just completely dysfunctional last year. Hill couldn't get going, Waddle couldn't get going. The running game wasn't there like it was the year before. I think Waddle dealing with a whole bunch of injuries, kind of like Hill was. So I actually think it's going to be better than it was. I wouldn't say I hate Waddle as much as you do, but I think he can't do much better than he did last year.
Well, he can't do much worse. He was wide receiver 50
Yes.
In fantasy points per game, 58 receptions, 83 targets, 12.8 yards per reception. barely got over 800 air yards. So he wasn't even being targeted down the field. And he played 15 games, averaging what is that, like about 50 air yards per game? That's disastrous. That is really, really bad. There was exactly one game where Jaylen Waddle exceeded, or two games. No, there was one. I'm counting here. There were two games where Jaylen Waddle exceeded 100 receiving yards. Two games.
Yeah. He was going high too.
Yikes. Yeah, it was really, really bad. And two games where he exceeded 100 air yards. Yeah, we're looking at Jaylen Waddle. He had -4 receiving yards 1 week. Like, holy buckets.
Yeah, that's not good whatsoever. I don't know. I think if Tua can get back healthy, but I don't think they really did anything to help their offensive line. And you got to protect Tua to get the ball to the receivers.
Yeah.
And if they can't do that, they're going to be in for a long season again. And I'm pretty sure the regime's going to get fired if they can't get it going. So.
Yeah, and McDaniel may very well be on the hot seat if he can't, make the offense work, because Tyreek Hill already chattering again about, oh, I want to leave Miami. Oh, I want to get out of here. Oh, blah, blah, trade me, blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah. And then
leave Miami?
Yeah, yikes. That would not be good for the entirety. Like we talked earlier about, a rising tide lifts all boats. Hill is that rising tide, and if he leaves, that would be very, very bad for Miami. The only other piece that makes any part of a dent in the Dolphins is Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. Quietly signed with the Dolphins as another like veteran wide receiver presence, averaged a 12% target share last year. We knew what Nick Westbrook-Ikhine scored lots of touchdowns, but this is a player that, I don't project to have more than Jaylen Waddle, but is going to be annoying enough, especially if you're working on 3 wide receiver sets. It's going to be Tyreek Hill, it's going to be Jaylen Waddle, Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. I know there's some Malik Washington truthers out there. I can't get behind it. Sorry.
Nope.
All right. Our final player of the night is a player that, you're rooting for from a real life NFL perspective. You just root for this guy because he went through so much last year going into the season, now entering his second season, and that is wide receiver Ricky Pearsall. Ricky Pearsall for the San Francisco 49ers finished off the season with some pretty solid games. We want to give credit where credit's due, but Pearsall is now going into the season with Demarcus Robinson added. Juwan Jennings has a good contract, a healthy Christian McCaffrey. George Kittle has a new contract. So really Pearsall behind Kittle, behind McCaffrey, and maybe behind Ayuk once Ayuk returns. It just depends on how many games Ayuk plays, but Juwan Jennings is going to be a major part of this. So Kittle, Jennings, McCaffrey, I have, ahead of Pearsall in terms of involvement in this offense. It's hard for me to see Ricky Pearsall like taking that next step, even with Ayuk expected to miss like almost the first half of the season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I really want to root for Pearsall. Like the dude got shot and he somehow came back like a month later, like insane. But they're just got Christian McCaffrey there. That offense is going to run through him as long as he's healthy. So, and you got Kittle and Juwan Jennings just like dominated when he had the chance last season, and I don't see that stopping. Like, I'm going to see him at least be number 1 receiver until Ayuk gets back. And once Ayuk gets back, I really don't see anything there for Pearsall.
Yeah, Pearsall is like a nice depth piece. I project him for 55 receptions, 82 targets, 17% target share, 700 receiving yards, 4 touchdowns. Like, I don't think that makes anybody happy though. And he's going right now at 77th overall but my projections have him at 115. So it's about a 38 spot. So about 3 rounds differential between projections and ADP. And that's not going to get it done. Like, he's a player that I am avoiding because I have concerns about his opportunity in the San Francisco 49ers offense. Yes, there was a lot of injuries to the Niners last year, but that's why I think Pearsall got the opportunity at the end of the season. Like, we were tantalized by, oh, he's got targets. Oh, he had a touchdown. Oh, he had 3 games at the end of the year where he stuck out. I can't get behind it, Jesse. I like this is the small sample fallacy that fantasy managers fall into, and I want people to avoid it.
Yeah, I mean, he was a sexy pick. He was a first-round pick, and he got shot, so you want to root for him, but I think everybody discounting Jennings and then Christian McCaffrey coming back. Like, the offense is going to funnel through CMC, like 100%.
Love it. Love it. Jesse, tell us all about the things that you're working on here at Player Profiler. Tell us the goods, where people can follow you, all the things.
Well, I'm working on the new desk, just updating all the information that comes out there that's fantasy worthy. I'm working on the draft kit. I'm working on my Panthers, my favorite team. So, yeah, go ahead and check that out. You can find me on Twitter at J_Baldwin51. And you can also find me on Blue Sky. Just put my name in there, Jesse Baldwin, and Player Profiler. Like, I've been reposting a lot of stuff on there, so check me out.
Awesome. Jesse, it's great to have you on, being the man for the man versus machine, discussing these rankings, discussing these projections. Great having you on here on Man versus Machine.
Thank you for having me, Bradley.
All right. On behalf of Jesse, I'm Bradley. Until next time, good luck in the fantasy football streets, everybody.